Welcome to Chase Talks. My name's Chase, and today I'm bringing you guys something a little bit different. Today we're going to go backwards a little bit, and I'm going to bring you guys a more scripted video. We haven't done one of these in a while, and I'm kind of excited to do it again. This is still a lot of free, just me sitting here talking, but I do have a lot of this scripted. So yeah, a little bit more scripted video. We haven't done that in a while, so I'm excited to be bringing more of those back to the channel. And today we're going to actually be doing a top 5 list. Now, I've never done a top 5 list before, so it's going to be interesting to kind of see what happens. And what we're going to be going down is the top 5 Route 1 Pokemon, or really it's the top 5 Pokemon that appear on the first route where Pokemon can be caught in any generation 1 through 7. So this is going to be going through Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Now, these Pokemon are judged based on competitive viability in both singles and doubles, and this includes VGC and Draft League format, so it's going to be competitive as a whole. Now, for Pokemon to be considered in this, they of course had to appear on the first route where Pokemon were catchable in any of the generations. Post-game Pokemon were not considered in this, also Pokemon that appeared due to moves such as Headbutt in Soul Silver and Heart Gold, so like Exeggutor, for example, in those games were not considered in this, but I did include SOS Pokemon in Gen 7, so Pokemon like Happiny, or Chansey and Blissey, who only appear due to SOS encounters on Route 1, were still considered. Speaking of Chansey and Blissey, we did also include a species clause. So if Chansey or Blissey appears on this list, the other cannot appear, and that includes all Pokemon. So if Raichu appears on this list, Alolan Raichu cannot appear on this list, and if Pikachu appears on this list, of course Raichu could not appear on this list either. Also, since Mega Evolutions can very often determine the viability of a Pokemon, they were also taken into consideration. So Pokemon that appear in Route 1, such as Beedrill and Pidgeot, that both were given Mega Evolutions, are considered in their Mega form for viability on this list. I'm also just going to make a quick note that this is based on Gen 7 competitive viability, so a Pokemon's performance in past generations is not taken into consideration. So that means for Talonflame, it is considered with the Gale Wings nerf. I'm not going to be taking it into account as its Gen 6 performance. I'm going to be looking at just Gen 7 performance. So also if Gen 8 comes out and there's a lot of changes, those Generation 8 changes, of course, are not going to be in this video since this was recorded during Generation 7. Just wanted to put that as a note before we hopped into the top 5. And with no further ado, we are going to do that and hop right into the top 5. Our number 5 Pokemon on this list is Chansey and Blissey sharing this spot together, and I really think when I mentioned them, that they were taken into consideration, nobody was really going to be surprised that they would make an appearance on this list. But some people might be surprised that they do take the number 5 spot. Now, Chansey, starting with that one, is a crazily specially defensive monster, 250 HP, 105 special defense. It does, of course, have the 5 defense as its biggest weakness, but it does help make up for that with the ability to run Eviolite, something that its evolution Blissey cannot do with its 255 HP, 135 special defense, and 10 defense, improving slightly on Chansey's 5 defense. Now, Chansey does edge out Blissey just a little bit, because the ability to run Eviolite is just that much better. But whether it's Chansey or Blissey, if you've had to face either of these Pokemon in a singles battle, I'm sure you just have painful PTSD memories of the event. As far as coverage and things like this, these Pokemon they get soft-boiled, they get Wish, so they get the utility option. They also get the utility option of Heal Bell and have Natural Cure as their ability, so statusing them is almost impossible. If you left without a physical threat, killing them is almost impossible. Seismic Toss gives them guaranteed damage, even though their attack stats and special attack stats are really low. But Seismic Toss guarantees that damage at level 50, doing 50 damage, at level 100, doing 100 damage. And then they also, for double options, have Healer as an ability with Heal Pulse also as an ability. Healer guaranteeing that Heal Pulse is going to go first, and then Heal Pulse healing them by 50%. But they are not, of course, as viable in doubles as they are in singles or in Draft League, because in doubles, the opportunity of having one of the 2 Pokemon sitting in front of you having a physical threat that just decimates you goes even higher, and they also have the ability to set Stealth Rocks, which is very helpful in singles. I didn't mention that before when we were doing the moves, but they also have that as an option too, so I think it is no one's surprise that they end up taking away the 5th spot on this list. Securing the 4th spot on this list is the Gen 6 wall-breaking monster, Diggersby. And after watching the anime, there's no other way I can say Diggersby besides that. And the real thing that sets apart Diggersby from the rest of this Pokemon on this list is the fact that it has access to huge power, which doubles the attack stat of any Pokemon. It also has a ground typing, which gives it access to Stab, Earthquake, and anyone out there can tell you how much ground stab does in really any meta. Whether you're looking at VGC, whether you're looking at doubles as a whole, whether you're looking at singles as a whole, Stab Earthquake is just a beautiful thing. And the ground typing adding an immunity to electric, as well as the normal typing adding not only an immunity to ghost, but giving you stab return, giving you a 102 base power stab attack when your attack stats doubled, is just crazy how much damage this Pokemon can output. And even though it's only got a decent speed, its speed only sits at 78. It's not going to be winning a race against something like a Garchomp, but it is fast enough to outspeed all those walls that it does need to break. This thing is amazing as a primary wall breaker, and I absolutely love using it as a primary wall breaker. It also gets access to the elemental punches, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, great coverage, especially for all the things like Salamences and stuff like that we got running around, Landorus T is running around, all that stuff. Don't want to take an Ice Punch from Diggersby. Nobody wants to take an Ice Punch from Diggersby. It does so much damage. This Pokemon is amazing, and it definitely deserves the 4th spot on this list. Number 3 Pokemon on this list does go to none other than the Generation 1 Sleeping Giant himself, added to Route 1 in Gen 7, Snorlax. Snorlax gives me nightmares on a nightly basis. Curselax, Recycle Gluttony, Belly Drum. This thing is just a monster. If you don't kill it right away, it definitely will set up on your face and kill you back. And with Gluttony's ability to have it get all of its HP back, once it hits that 50% mark, it is just such a bulky, never gonna die tank. And it tanks a close combat, it kills you back with return, and eats an Agua Berry to heal back to max HP. This thing just will not die. It is one of the biggest threats that you will ever face in VGC, and it is just as threatening in singles. This thing is just so strong, and I definitely think it doesn't get the usage that it deserves, which I'm happy for, because this thing is crazy, and I freak out. You guys probably have already noticed that in my videos. I freak out whenever I have to face one. I'm like, oh my god, no, not another Snorlax. I don't want to have to face a Snorlax. It is never a good time, and it is no question in my mind that it 110% deserves the number 3 spot on this list. And I would probably say that the only disadvantage this Pokemon has is its speed tier, if the fact that it's so hard to one-hit KO before it just sets up in your face and kills you back, or heals all of its HP then kills you. It is so hard to OHKO this Pokemon without like having a good team for it, or without having the good Pokemon for it. Snorlax is definitely a threat, and especially like in Draft League format, for example, it is a threat that you cannot afford to ignore in prep. This thing is just too strong, and that's why it walks away cleanly, or I guess sleeps away cleanly, with the 3rd spot on this list. Moving now to the 2nd place Route 1 Pokemon is none other than the reckless, brave bird, banded, sweeping monster, Staraptor. And what I just said is the exact reason why Staraptor walks away with this spot. The fact that it gets reckless, which increases the power of its moves that have recoil damage, with its normal stab move, Double Edge, and then its flying stab move, Brave Bird, with its 120 base attack. You throw a band on this thing, a choice band, you throw a life orb on this thing, anything, it doesn't matter. This thing is going to put in the work and do damage. It also has access to the move Close Combat, which is amazing, especially for a normal type, to have that fighting stab to break through all those strong Steels types. And it has 100 base speed. Now, 100 base speed isn't the fastest base speed, but it's also not slow. That thing is fast, it's definitely going to put in the work and do damage, and it's actually fast enough to where it can run Adamant Nature sometimes. It also has the ability Intimidate, which is also very good utility, the ability to put an opposing Pokemon at -1. Most of the time Reckless is a better ability, just because getting that double base power is crazy, but you do have the ability to run Intimidate, especially in doubles, it can be great to drop those Pokemon down to -1 and hit them still with a hard Double Edge or a hard Brave Bird or even a close combat. This thing is such a good Pokemon. It's got good coverage. I mean, the majority of time when you see it, you can like know this is what it's going to do. So it doesn't have like the most versatile movesets, but the problem is finding an answer for that non-versatile moveset, because if you want to switch in to a Brave Bird or a Double Edge or a close combat from this thing, find a Pokemon that wants to take a hit from this thing, because nothing wants to take a hit from this Pokemon, and that's why it secures the second place slot on this list. Now, before we jump into the last Pokemon on this list, before I say who the #1 spot is on this list, I'm going to quickly just say a few honorable mentions, a few Route 1 Pokemon that just barely missed out on making into the top 5. The first of our honorable mentions is Mega Pidgeot. Strong Mega, just barely missed out. Talonflame is another one. Without the Gale Wings nerf, it would have probably definitely been on this list. It is still good even with the Gale Wings nerf, but it does just barely miss out of this top 5. Another one is Stoutland. Stoutland is a personal favorite of mine. It gets Sand Rush. It's a strong Pokemon, but it barely missed out on this list. And the final one is Linoone. If you ever seen a Belly Drum Gluttony Extreme Speed Linoone, you know why it barely missed out on being on this list, because that thing is strong, and it is probably, I'd probably actually put that as number 6 on this list if I wanted to put a number 6, but it does just barely miss out being on this list. And finally, walking away with the #1 spot on this list is none other than Mega Beedrill. When you have 150 attack and 145 speed, who needs defenses, especially when you pair that with adaptability, which increases your stab modifier to 2 times from the normal 1.5, and then you add that in as its 2 types being Poison and Bug, especially when Poison, with all the fairies running around, with all the really good fairies, Poison type has never been better, and when you have a Poison jab that's got 2 times damage, that is crazy. It also gets X-Scissor to do 2 times damage, and U-Turn for momentum. It's such a fast Pokemon, it can easily U-Turn on just about anything and pick up the momentum as long as it isn't Scarfed. And then it also gets, to add coverage onto that, it gets Drill Run for Steel types, Pursuit to just Pursuit Trap things. If anything wants to switch out a Mega Beedrill, it gets Pursuit Trapped. And then a Knockoff as well. Knockoff just to take out an enemy's item or get rid of all those Ghost types. Since Ghost type pressure, especially in singles, Ghost type pressure is so good. And then when you add Knockoff just to wipe out a Ghost type immediately, it also gets interesting utility, like in Toxic Spikes. The ability to just lay those Toxic Spikes really fast on a switch or something and get those poisons on every Pokemon that comes in is super useful and definitely help wear down an enemy team, even though it's definitely not the way that you really want Beedrill to play. It does have that utility aspect to it as well. This Pokemon is just a monster. It is one of my favorite Megas. Beedrill has probably been one of my favorite Pokemon though since Gen 1. I love this Pokemon. I was so happy when I got a Mega, and it got such a good Mega. This thing got so much better. And in the Gen 7 shift, when they buffed Megas to make it so they get their bonus speed on the first turn, that just helped Mega Beedrill so much. This thing is a top tier Mega, and I am so afraid whenever I have to match up against this thing, and I love drafting in Draft League. It's so good in singles, and I definitely think it could be viable in doubles. As I'm showing in one of my series, Mega Lopunny has been doing really well in doubles, and I definitely think Beedrill can have the same effect, just the ability to nuke something really quick. And now, for the moment that we've all been waiting for. Wait, there's more? But I thought you did it all. You were done and you did 5 down to 1, and I was already ready to complain that my favorite Pokemon wasn't on this list. Yes, there is more. There's one Pokemon that is so good, I decided to have it be our 0 spot on the list. Yeah, we went from 5 down to 0, not 5 down to 1. And this 0 Pokemon is none other than Mega Lopunny. Mega Lopunny is just such a good Pokemon. It's a normal type with a fighting type. It gets amazing normal stab in return with the scrappy ability, so it also can hit ghost types with its 136 base attack. It's so strong. It's It's also pretty bulky with its 94 in defense, 96 in special defense, and this thing is so fast with 135 speed. I said with Mega Beedrill, who needs that? When you have stats like this, who needs defenses? And this thing has the defenses. It also has Fake Out to get priority and get a little bit of chip damage on top of that. It gets Fighting Stab and High Jump Kick, which is just such a strong fighting stab move. Great coverage with also getting the Elemental Punches. It also gets access to Drain Punch for recovery. It has an awesome set where you can Fake Out Last Resort. It has substitute sets where you can just set up a substitute, set up with Power Up Punch, Drain Punch to get your HP back, and just be a wall there. It also has Cosmic Power tanky sets. This thing has so much viability, has so many options, and is just such a good Pokemon, and that's why this thing secures the 0 spot on our list, and there is no Pokemon I'd rather have in the 0 spot. And that's our list. And again, this is all my opinion. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and leave me a comment. Let me know down in the comment section down below what you thought about this list. Do you think that these were the right Pokemon? Do you think that I picked the right Pokemon for our 0 slot, our 1 slot, our 2 slot, our 3 slot, our 4 slot, and our 5 slot? Or do you think that something else should have been that Pokemon? Do you think that Lightning should have edged out one of the other Pokemon and been in the top 5? Or do you think that another Pokemon was more deserving and I totally missed on some? That's okay, I can be wrong. Let me know in the comment section down below. And remember to subscribe so you never miss another episode of Chase Talks. Until next time, this is Chase, signing off.